Hey guys, so my previous tutorial on how to create the chrome wheel visors wasn't really that good, so here's going to be a bit more straight up, basic, really quick video just showing you how I make the visors for my Halo helmets. The way it started, you need a vacuum form table, which I have mine here. And if you don't know the process of vacuum forming, you should Google it and really learn a bit more about it, because then you can create your own custom visors for your helmets. Once it's built, you then create a vacuum form buck. With this, it's my visors, and this is what the plastic will be stretching over and getting into these details. I then use a clear, this is PETG plastic. It is 2mm thick, so like it is clear. It's got a protective scratch abrasive padding on it, or sheet on it to stop it from scratching. So then I clamp that into the frame. This side heats up the plastic. I then turn on the pump, which is located under here. Then simply enough, just move this out, flip that over, and then what it will do, it will suck all the air out from under the plastic and form into this shape. With this process, you will get some bad casts from this. This quite didn't pull right. My platen was lowered just a bit lower than what it should have, and the vacuum wasn't really sucking, so I raised the platen and now it works just right. Which you then end up getting a part like this, which is the visors, as you can sort of see in the details. And then from here, once you have that, you then trim out the visor, which you get a little template. You make a little template, and I create a little line. This is just a pen, I can rub it off. I create a line from where the actual visor meets up to the helmet, and then I add an extra, what, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, just to make sure that there'll be no gaps when the visor is put into the helmet. So I still have to do it with the other pieces, but once these visors are all cut out, the next step is to dye it, which I will take you inside to do now. Okay, so this is the dyeing process. Here are a few visors that were not good enough for the helmets, and the dyeing process is fairly a bit complicated. If you leave the dye, the plastic to dye in the bath for too long, you can see you get totally different colours from, rather than gold and orange. So you can see there's a big difference just by leaving them in for another 5 minutes. This test cast just to test out to see what darkness I can go to before it starts turning up more of an orange than gold. So it's really good to have a test cast just to see how it would look, because you got to realise it doesn't have the chrome in it on it yet, so you don't really know if it's going to be more orange than gold. So I will be using iDye poly. Get a good look. Now when you open these packets, it comes, you get two little sachets. You get one, which is the dye in a dissolvable packet. But the reason why you don't want to actually just put this in the pot, it's because it can cause specks on your visors. You probably won't be able to see with the camera, but you can see a lot of these orange specks. It's really hard because there's really no virtually chrome in it, but if you can sort of see some specks and pick it out, yeah, so what it does actually cause specks in the actual visor. As you can sort of see, it's not really clear. You can see a lot of fogginess, and that's because the actual dissolvable packet not dissolving properly. I'll be using 2 packets of the iDye poly, both with the colour intensifier, and I'll be using 6 litres of water, which is enough for my visors to fit in without any stress on the sides. Also create a little wire to hold your visors, and it's really good to have an extra lip around your visors just so you can hold it with the clips. And then simply enough you'll be able to fit it in and yeah, dye it. So the temperature, you want to keep it probably about maybe 120 to 140 with the PET plastic that I'm using. As soon as I hit 150, that's when warping starts to happen, so you really got to keep an eye on the bath. And yeah, I do probably about 10-minute baths. Okay, so right now the first visor I'll be doing is a test visor. I'll be submerging it in for 10 minutes. Okay, so now it's time to pull it out. It's been under 10 minutes, but since this is only a test cast, a test bath, then I really don't have to wait the full amount, because really it's just seeing if I get specks any on the visor, just so it saves wasting good visors. So what I have here is a cold bath. It's just another pot filled with water. The water is just straight from the tap. What you're going to do is then just take this out and then just give it a cold bath. Okay, so the test visor came out pretty well. I am quite happy with it. There is no specks from what I can see from the actual dye. So I'm going to go ahead and do the actual visors that I need to do. This will not be the orange. This was a very, very light dye. As you can sort of see by my thumb, the different colour. It's not really that much of a dye, because it was only in there for under 10 minutes. So now what I'll be doing is doing my actual visors now, leaving them in there for a full 10 minutes, check on them, see if they're done, and then once they have reached the right colour that I like, then I'll simply do the cold bath and repeat with the other visors. So that is how I dye the visors. Okay guys, once you got your visors dyed, it's on to the next step, which is the chroming. Okay guys, so this is the chroming process. So what I've done is got my visors on here, and I've cleaned them up on the inside, make sure there's no dust. And right now I'll be airbrushing, using my airbrush. This Alclad chrome is, wait for it to focus, just press on the screen. That's the bottle there. Just so people don't know. And what this does, you spray this very lightly on the inside, and it creates sort of like a two-way mirror, where if it's dark inside the helmet, then light will basically reflect back, giving it a mirror-like finish. But on the inside, since it's only a very light coat, you can still see through the paint, which is awesome. So I'm really happy that Alclad is a cheaper solution for some of us. So I'll just be adding, you give it a shake, I think, before you use, due to some of the stuff getting stuck on the bottom. So you just shake it just to make sure it's mixed. And what you want to do is basically create a even coat on the inside. So I'll be doing it to this one. what it does, as you can see, it's starting to get a bit reflective if I darken behind it. It's all about just trying to find that perfect spot where it's not too much, where you can still see out of pretty easily, but not enough that it you get dark spots. That's something you try to want to avoid. So right now, these visors were tinted very light. I didn't realize, you don't realize how light they are until you put in the chrome. It just means they're going to be more of a gold than an orange. So as you can see, it's starting to get reflective. Test fit it, as you can see. Can't really see into the helmet because it's darker on the inside and it's reflecting the light back. So what I'm going to do is just have a looky-see. Very thick layer, and as you can see it's starting to come off. And just keep shaking it. As you can see, it's starting to come off the bottom, so you just got to make sure that it's basically all off. And then airbrush. So this is the process. I'm going to continue on doing the rest of the visors, and I'll be back once I have all the visors chromed, well, as much as this bottle gets me. So I will be back when it is ready. So guys, the next step is adding the hex pattern. Now for the hex pattern, what you want to get is some of these hex decal sheets. You get them from bd15decals.com. I'll leave a link in the description, and you'll get an A4 size sheet like this. And so you cut out a template just so it fits within your visor and it doesn't touch the sides, because if you once you take the transfer sheet off and you were to touch some of the hex decals with maybe the top, it might cause some warping when you go to put the rest of it down. It might crease up and crinkle in that area. So to get it off, simply, it's pretty much like a sticker. Getting it off the visor is the harder part, but we'll worry about that later. So once you've got it, just simply, it doesn't really matter what color the hex decals are, they do the same job. So you can see I've got a white sheet and this was a black sheet. So once you have that, pretty much what you're going to do is just line it up. I like to line it up with my pinkies, and I'll just see if it's in frame. Yep. And then carefully place it over where you want. Yeah. Give it a bit of a press just to make sure that the hexes stick down, especially in the detail areas. Now peeling it back up is a little bit difficult because sometimes the hex does stick to the the transfer sheet still. So what you're going to do, if you see a hex stick up, just simply push it back, give it a press, and then keep repeating that. So I don't mind about the little ones that you see. And the reason why I apply the hex pattern now rather than doing it before is just so the hex pattern doesn't actually worn off when I apply the put in the visor into the helmet, as well as if I do it in this stage now, I know when I can fade it to the edges. So if I were to do that before, then it would have been a little bit difficult because the hex pattern will be right up to the brim, and that's really not the effect that I want. I really want it to fade out when it goes towards the helmet, and to create a really nice effect. So the next step from here is give it a light spray, basically a dust with Alclad again, the chrome, and yeah, so I'll take you to the shed to do a quick dust of it. Okay, to create the hex pattern, now that the hex decals are on the visor, what you're going to do is lightly dust the outside with the Alclad, as you can see I've already done with this helmet, and as you can sort of see as well, I faded it towards the edges just so it doesn't come right to the edge, and I've done that on my other helmet that I'm painting. So what I'll be doing now is showing you how I apply the hex pattern. What I will be doing is using sort of a circle rotation, because to create a good looking hex pattern, rather than a flat solid hex pattern on top of it, you kind of want to fade it in and out in areas, just so when it reflects in the sunlight you can actually see different parts of the hex pattern reflect back, rather than a solid hex on top. So I'll just keep going in just a circle rotation, just like that. Try to keep the main focus of it in the middle, and try to fade it out towards the edges. So, as well as I put a mask around just so I don't affect the paint job. This is using Tamiya tape, really good stuff. I've been using it a lot. I usually do probably about 3 passes, then I go have a look at the sides, see if they're faded in enough. If they're not, I just go over them, add more chrome. Okay, and there we are. That is it done. So, the next step is to carefully take all these hex stencils off, and yeah, it's about done. So I'll be back once I've done all that, because it is going to take quite some time. You do have to avoid trying to scratching the actual visor too while taking off these stickers. So yeah, I'll be back once they're done. So all the hex pattern stickers are off, and now these guys are ready to be sold. I will say, to taking off the hex stickers, you want to use a very sharp X-Acto knife and just do 1 point and then peel it up, just so you don't get any scratches on the visor itself, to minimize scratching. So I hope this was a better tutorial. It explains a bit more compared to my one I did a while ago. So yeah, until the next video.